Fantasy Premier League and EPL begins from today. And to help us out with it, we have our guest Vikash Singh, who has performed really well in the last two seasons of the Fantasy Premier League. We will also be covering the topics like captain's role in a club, along with the benefits of having a good backup goalkeeper in a club team. So stay tuned and enjoy the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of our podcast, Ballers in Pajamas. So, today we do have a guest appearance from Vikash. So, as we all know, Premier League is starting this weekend. Fantasy Premier League teams are being made by everyone. Everyone's now on the hunt again to try for a victory this year. So, Vikash, how's your team looking?
I'd say I'm pretty happy about my team this
Okay.
season. I made a team that I think will perform really nice. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. All right. So my team is mostly consisting of, I would say, I looked at the stats of last year, like who scored the most or whom I remember doing pretty well. Like I got Danny Ings, who plays for Southampton. Not exactly a top six team player, but he came close to getting the Golden Boot last year. And I got Martial in the team, even though he's not going to play the first week. Midfield's looking fine. I do have De Bruyne. So yes, I'm also hopeful, and let's see how it goes. Shubham, how's your team looking?
Yeah,
Who do you have?
so what I did was pick up the performing ones first. So what I took
Okay.
was Trent at the back first, then
Liverpool,
Salah,
yes.
Aubameyang. Since Aubameyang is a midfielder this season, so I was really happy. So I
All
put
kinds of
in
things are happening, yeah.
Aubameyang and Salah in the middle with Kai Havertz. I bring him in for the first week because I cannot play KDB in the first week as he won't give any points. So
Yes, that is true.
I took Kai Havertz and I will replace him in the next week by KDB. So I have 3 million left in my bank, so I can use it in the next week. And in front I have Vardy as a big name. So as we know, he won the Golden Boot and he consistently scores. I have seen his stats for past 2 to 3 seasons. He will give the goals. So that's the structure. And to fill in, I have this Lundstram. I don't know how they pronounce it. This guy.
Lundstrom from Sheffield, yeah.
Yeah, and Saint Maximin from West Ham.
From
Sorry,
Newcastle.
from Newcastle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
he's a pretty good prospect.
yeah, and for the keeper, I've taken Rui Patricio from Wolves. As you know, they have
Oh,
11
he's a really good
Portuguese.
keeper,
So
yeah.
yeah, I kind of like that keeper. So
All right. Yeah,
that's
Wolves
the
is always like a danger team.
what?
It's kind of like a danger team. It's like you never expect them to win, you never expect them to lose.
It's like a Chinese bomb. It looks good from the front, but it backfires.
I would say that's an amazing comparison. Now, as always, we always have issues with our team. So, Nihar, I've been hearing some stories about your teams. How's your fantasy
Man, I
playing?
mean, things in fantasy suck all the time. I mean, I was like placed in last
Okay.
in all the leagues I was in last season. So, this
Okay.
season I wanted to try out for the English Premier League for the first time. So, I
Okay.
made a team with James Rodriguez in it. Then later I saw an article saying that he is going to be the flop of the season. I mean, 3 out of 5 said that.
Yeah, there
I
is
got
that
freaked
news,
out
yeah.
and I couldn't change the team. So I logged in with other account and joined the leagues. I
All
mean,
right.
I just got the big names, the names I knew. I don't even know like two defenders' names. Heard them for the first time. I know it's going to be messed up. I think I'll use my wild card in next week itself. So let's see how my luck turns out today.
Yeah. Okay, we're all hoping for a good season for you, Nihar. So, as we all know,
Really
with
good.
Fantasy Premier League, yeah. So, as we all know, with Fantasy Premier League, we do have something called as the FPL Scouts. So, this is something the Premier League do. They give a scout report on how which player will score. Who can do, who's good at the defense, who is good at the goalkeeper. So, Vikash, as a resident expert, how useful do you think this is?
Scouts are actually pretty useful because see, we can't follow every team per se,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
we won't be like aware of all the injuries that are happening to us like for every team. We'll only
Yeah, that's
follow certain teams that we like really like and we support them. So, for example, I'll give there is this player from Leicester, his right back Pereira. He's injured for a couple of months right now,
no
and
boy.
I saw it in the scout report that there is this guy called Justin, and he had performed really well, and it is almost certain that he'll take up that right back spot. And if you
Okay.
see his value of Justin in the FPL, it's 4.5. So it's absolutely a bargain if he performs well. And even if he doesn't, if he plays just all the matches, he'll get all those points for clean sheets and all. So I guess that's okay. So scout report, I'd say, is actually helpful for your team. If you
Okay.
like follow it, it'll actually give you a good idea of like player stats and all. So I think you should take it into consideration when you're building your team.
Okay. Sound advice. So now, like with all games, right? So it's like a league. We have PUBG. We have so many games, right? So we always have tactics inside them. Now, one tactic I do see with the FPL would be the formation. With your formation, you can somehow get your own. You can somehow win, or you can save money, and you can buy good players next time. So, Vikas, what do you think about the formation of the FPL? Like, what's a good
Uh,
formation to have?
right. Yeah, that's a really good point because see, if you select a proper formation, it can actually save money for your team and it can get you more points. My
Okay.
personal preference is always 3-5-2. There are two reasons for that.
Okay.
The first reason being, if you select like if you have two defenders in your bench, you can make one of them which is not playing. You can have it at 4 million. So that's actually the lowest price you can get a player at
Yeah, that's
anywhere.
right.
Yeah. So that way you can save 0.5 million there, and you can invest it anywhere. Also, the other point of like having five players in midfield is that midfielders give you points for clean sheets. They give you points. They give you more points for goals, and there is the points for assists as well. So if you have like five players in your midfield, it's like beneficial for your team. This
Right, that's
season,
a good point.
I've invested
Okay.
in Havertz, James, uh, Aubameyang's. It's a look like a really good pick for your team because FPL is it's a little buggy at the time, so it
Okay.
has put Aubameyang and Rashford in the middle. If you
That's
get
a
those two
funny one.
players in your team, yeah, that can actually give you much boost for your FPL points because as we all know, they play as a strikers.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So midfielders as such will get like 5 points for a goal, while strikers get only four, I think. And they do get one
Strikers
point for a.
get three, I think.
Hmm, okay. It's either three or four. All right. That's a good use. Thank you, Vikash. Definitely helped. I do hope some of you will look into these good advices and work on your team. I think there's 4 hours left and EPL will start tonight. So
And
on to our
Vignesh,
next topic. Yeah.
Vignesh, one thing I really want to add here. So last year we were playing this FPL, okay, and by November or December we saw this famous name in the top charts. That was Magnus Carlsen. So the number one chess player. So he was there
Yeah.
in the top charts. So it was really
Okay.
surprising. Then a few days back, I read an article how he managed his team and all. So there was a really good
Yeah.
insight. So what he did not have that much time to watch all the games and everything. So what he did was he kept one thing in mind, that was the select percentage. So if you see in FPL while doing transfer, there you can see select percentage. So if the
Yeah.
selection percentage is high for that player, so that means most of the people will get the same number of points. So if you can get a player who has less number of selection percentage and then put him in the team, and according to his ICT index, I think that is the absolute good way to pick a team. I mean, that's how he just managed to get into top 10. And one more thing, that one thing he told, like, for 3 game weeks, Mohammad Salah was performing really good in his team. So he scored, I think, 3 to 4 goals, and I think that
Yeah.
many assists as well. So generally people will keep him or make him the captain in his team. So but what he did was he dropped him. He literally dropped him off his
Okay,
team
this is
and
different.
got some new
Okay.
guy from Crystal Palace. So this means, I mean, he's not afraid to experiment with his team, and it's really good if you experiment with your team in FPL. It can be really highly beneficial.
Wow. Okay, that's an amazing fact. Good to see that Magnus Carlsen is also coming into Fantasy Premier League. And it's a good idea, having a whole unique team, trying to make sure that you're getting points from other people. Yeah, it's kind of a different take. Yeah, I like it. So moving on to the next topic. Now this is where we come. It's more of a general topic, but we just want to actually uh, get a word into this. Actually, it's about what we feel about a captain's role in a club is. Right? So you mostly see the coach. He's the one placing the players. What exactly is the captain doing? So Vikash, don't suppose you could give your few insights into this?
Yeah, I'm sure. Like a captain's role in a team is, I won't say as important as in other sports, but it is very important still. See,
Okay.
as a captain in football, you have to lead by example. I'm sorry. You have to lead by example. What is implemented on the field, you have to show your team that the coach is doing the right thing, and you have to follow it. See, it's a
Right.
mentality. Your strategy might not work in the first half of the match, so your team might get certain goals against you. So,
Yeah.
like a captain should step in at the time and make sure that he motivates the team that it's nothing. It can always get better. You just have to focus, and you just have to work on your team strategy that the coach came up with. This is, I think, the captain's role. He should motivate the team.
Right.
Yeah, if I talk about captains, I have to like make a comparison between, I'd say, Carlos Puyol and Lionel Messi at the current time.
Okay, that's a good
Uh,
one.
yeah, if you've seen the matches previously, Carlos Puyol was the captain during the time there was this classic El Clasico fights were happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, and even there were times when Carlos Puyol was fouled, or he was like pushed for no apparent reason or something. But Carlos Puyol was the one who was stopping every other Barca players from getting into a fight and getting the cards, unnecessary bookings, if you say.
Yeah, basically he's
And
fighting for
yeah,
the club, so to say. He's fighting for
right.
himself. He doesn't want to. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and even if the team were down, he was always motivating everyone. He was leading from the back.
Hmm.
And take in the case of Messi, if you've seen all those last 3 years Champions Leagues, every time in the second leg when they start racking up goals, you don't see Messi encouraging the other players to like, it's okay, it's nothing, we can do it, we can still rack up more goals, just like build your confidence and stuff. You don't see him doing that on the pitch. He may be doing that everywhere else. He may be doing that on the training field, or maybe just his presence in enough will be enough. But it's not actually that. He has to like talk to his team and get them all riled up so that they can also like give a very competitive feel to the match. I'll say.
That's a very good comparison, Vikash. Definitely, when I see or when I remember Puyol, him, Ramos, it's kind of like the lions of their team, leading from the defense, pushing the team, never letting them get down. Yeah,
Uh,
especially if the team is down, Okay, so let's take maybe, their losses to Liverpool or the recent ones in Champions League. It just happens, but then you have to pick yourself back up. And that's when a captain has to do it, right? Like the captain's the one person who'll be pushing the coach's agenda, just trying to keep the mentality up, that we can do this, we can come back. So, all right, maybe we can expect better things from Messi, or maybe somebody new will step in. So, Shivam, uh, so as we have heard from Vikash, there's always good and there's always a bad in terms of captaincy. So we do have some not the best of captains in the previous years. Uh, any come to your mind?
Not anyone in particular, but as Vikas said, I mean, if you see Lionel Messi, I mean, I really don't want to fire shots on him right now because he's already going through a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
so seeing the captaincy perspective, I really haven't seen him perform in any big matches recently. I know I'll get a lot of backlash out of this, but I really haven't seen him perform in any big games, especially when it comes to Champions League. It's okay to score 3 goals
The most
against Eibar,
important, yeah.
but yeah, if you score against Bayern, then it will be very, very good. But
Yeah.
coming to captaincy, there aren't much. But if you see Neymar as well, so when it comes to his national team, so if you see, I know Thiago Silva will be. I think he has retired already. Next up is I think
Yeah.
Neymar only. So if you see
Okay.
Neymar, he will not be available most of the time. Either he is injured, or he's having some other commitments, or he's just rolling
Okay.
over the pitch. I mean, there is no concrete evidence that he has given that he can be a good leader for the Brazil
Yeah.
national team. So that is kind of weaker point of his gameplay. As a player, he's brilliant, no doubts. But as a captain, I do have some concerns about it.
All right. So speaking of captains, this might be a fun fact for all of you. As you do know, Fabio Cannavaro, the World Cup winning captain of Italy from the 1998 World Cup. Well, while he did play for a lot of clubs in his time, he did play for Inter Milan, Juventus, but then right at the end of his career, there was actually a plan for him to come to India, that he was going to play in an Indian league. He was actually signed on by the Indian team Siliguri for $830,000. And yeah, so it is pretty close for him to join the league. But then that league never started, and in the end, Cannavaro just retired. So we were pretty close, I think. Yeah, it would have been fun to see him on the Indian pitch. So this is the transfer season. We do have a lot of every team spending nicely, some spending a bit too much. So right now, we have Deha to tell us how well have Arsenal done. So Deha, over to you.
Vignesh, yeah. I mean, I would like to talk about Arsenal in the past season. Okay, I mean, they were
Right?
like a mediocre team. I mean, whenever they were like performing good, they hit a road bump and they will be like very poor. It's all
Yeah.
inconsistency and everything, but they got very good players last season. They got two young players in midfield. And coming to the end of the season, post COVID lockdown, I mean, they really stepped up their game, I guess, because they defeated City, they defeated Liverpool also, and they defeated all the big teams and they won two trophies at the end. And I guess
Yeah, that's
Arteta has
pretty
done
good.
a very good job. I mean, considering he came up during the middle of the season, and even he got Aubameyang to sign an extension, all the big players staying now. And particularly regarding the transfer market, I think they did the right choice by buying players where they need, which area they need.
Okay.
They got Gabriel from Lille, Pablo Mari from Flamengo, and Cedric Soares from Southampton. And they got Willian on free transfer too. I mean, they bolstered their defense, which they were very weak last season. And you
Yeah.
could see how David Luiz was made mockery out of everything he did on the pitch. And they got Willian too, who is like a Premier League, one of the all-time great. So that brings in a lot of experience, and already they have very good midfield. They managed to secure a loan deal for Danny for 1 more year from Real, and already their midfield is actually good. Ozil is like, if he is in form, you know how good is he.
Yes,
And
definitely.
their friend three, Nicolas Pepe, Aubameyang, and everyone is good as of now. So I know I really have high hopes in Arsenal. Everyone are like so fixated on Liverpool, will they defend the title, or Chelsea, will they win the title? but no one is talking about Arsenal. I feel. I think they have a real shot to get into top 4.
Okay, that will
That's what
definitely
we
be
can say
something
about
to
Tottenham.
see. And you're pretty much right about Willian. Definitely somebody people always looked at. So it's kind of a bit surprising for him to leave Chelsea. And we're also right about people thinking Chelsea might win this time. They've got so many players, big expectations from literally everybody who's not seen the English Premier League. So, and to the final topic right now. So, this final topic is again another general one. It's about the teams that do have good second goalkeepers, or just goalkeepers in general. Why have two, So there's always a question that comes, right? So you have two goalkeepers, you have one is the main guy, the other, just if the first guy breaks his leg or something or gets a red card, you can get the substitute one. But I think it goes beyond that, right? So you want a player, you want your goalkeeper to always be up and running, right? You always want him to be challenged, let him know that your substitute is standing right in your shadows, waiting for you to make a mistake. And when he does, he'll just pounce and take your position. Now, a lot of teams have good second goalkeepers. Like right now, we do have Sergio Romero for De Gea. Sergio Romero mostly takes care of the league competitions, and De Gea is mostly the goalkeeper that's taken for the league matches and Champions League, or also Europa sometimes. We do have in Chelsea where Kepa had issues last year, and Lampard just, he just was totally waiting for the opportunity, and he put in Willie Caballero. Caballero did pretty well last season. So, Nihar, what do you think about this? About the prospect of having two good goalkeepers in a team?
It's really good to have your second goalkeeper in a very good way, because in some way he challenges the main.
Right.
And I can talk about the advantages, but I would like to talk about the disadvantages of having a very good
All right.
second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because see, for example, if two good goalkeepers are there, one progress will be hindered actually. One can't progress. I mean, they contemplate each other in training and everything. But unless the player plays in a regular match, if he doesn't play regularly, he won't be having the confidence to come and play, right? I would like to cite the example of Neto Murara from Barcelona. I mean, he was very good at Valencia. So when he was swapped out for Chiles to Barcelona, he was only made to start in cup competitions, namely Copa del Rey. So Copa del Rey, anyway, the opposition will be very weak compared to Barcelona, right? Because they will be facing the tier 2 and 3 teams. So when he got a chance, because Steven was injured, so he was supposed to play in La Liga game. He eventually, screwed up kind of. I mean, he played decent enough, but small mistakes led to 2 goals, so securing the draw for the team. Those 2 goals would have stopped any other day, but that day I guess he was like lacking confidence. That's a bad sign. I mean, that's what I feel. What do you think?
That's pretty right, actually. The second goalkeeper, no matter how good he is, playing him into some important matches from time to time will get him the desired confidence. It's a good point here. Shubham, what do you feel?
If you see, the second goalkeeper has not been that key for any team. It is important, but not the key role. So the thing is, if you buy a good goalkeeper as a second goalkeeper, like the player should be good, but if you take a high profile person as a second goalkeeper, he'll always be unhappy and create a wrong environment in the dressing room because of the chances that he is not getting. Suppose the same
That's
thing that
right.
we are facing, so the same thing that we face in some of the industries, like you take the good talent but you don't give the right exposure that it needs, that the guy needs. So the guy obviously will become unhappy no matter how many wages he's getting. Like, unless he's Gareth Bale, he'll be very unhappy. So the thing is, if you have a good goalkeeper as a second one, it is going to backfire. But make sure you take from the academy. That's what I am no one to give advice, but that's what my thing will be. Take someone from the academy that will give the guy exposure with the first team as well. Plus, the cup competitions won't make it that hard on the young guy. So you can give him 3 to 4 games over there and just see his development. That will be the best thing that you can do to a young team, like a young goalkeeper.
That's an amazing point with youth team. Youth teams are always like important, right? That's who are going to continue the club's legacy. Like you're always going to buy players. You can buy a better goalkeeper, but then if you want your club as such to go forward, it's the essence from which it started from. Getting the youth team as a youth goalkeeper is definitely a good idea. And Vikash, what do you feel?
These guys talked about the disadvantage, but I'd say there are a lot of advantages too.
Hmm.
As you said, Vignesh, having an extra goalkeeper in your team that can actually take up the first team spot,
Yeah.
it pushes the first team goalkeeper who's having his regular spot to perform at his maximum level, because he knows that if he does not, his position might be under scrutiny. He might
Right.
get replaced, and if not replaced, he might get just benched for a couple of matches. And if the other guy really gets performing really well, the fans and the coaches and everyone will start getting behind him. And if the first team goalkeeper who was there in the first place, it did make some mistakes, and in the major matches or such,
Hmm.
he'll always have someone breathing down his back, breathing down his neck to just take up his spot.
Right.
But I'd say what Shubham also brought up was a very interesting point, to like have a goalkeeper from an academy. It doesn't necessarily means you have to get him from an academy. Just I'd say having a young goalkeeper in your team would be beneficial. He'd be gaining from the experiences from the first team goalkeeper, and he'll be substituting them in case they ever get like injured, or there are some certain matches that are not up to the highest level that require the first team goalkeeper. In case of swapping as well, they can have the second choice goalkeeper, so he'll have a very good first team experience as well by the time he's like 23, 24, which I'd say is the perfect starting point for a goalkeeper, because no one, I think, starts from 18, 19. So
That's a good idea.
till he gets till 23, 24, he can get some quality first time experience also, and he'll be watching that really experienced goalkeeper and learning from him. So that is a very good point, that actually helps a team, because after the first team goalkeeper eventually retires, he this guy can take up his spot, and just because he'll understand the team, right? He'll understand the
Yeah,
strategy,
yeah.
he'll understand the other players, his defenders, so there won't be any problem with the transition.
Hmm.
And
Good.
one more
No,
point,
that's a
like
good idea.
Vikash, we were talking yesterday, and you told the story about Keylor Navas and Casillas. So once Casillas left, we had Keylor Navas as the second goalkeeper, right?
Right.
So yeah, after he left, we never felt like signing a big goalkeeper until Courtois in 2019 season, I guess. So till that time, we had our second goalkeeper, which was Keylor Navas, handling everything, and he literally won us 3 back-to-back UCLs. So that really, highlights how important the second goalkeeper is.
Yeah, exactly. See, when Casillas left, that was almost the time we invested a lot of. I mean, the Real Madrid invested a lot of in Galacticos. So after spending that much, and when Casillas left, since there was a really good goalkeeper in our club, there was no need for us to get another one inside our club, because that would have been just an unnecessary thing. Kelana was
Hmm.
stepped up really nice. He was playing really nice, and he had the backing of all the players until the point he was let go by the club. The management decided that. But up to that 3 years, 3, 4 years, he was completely solid and he played extraordinarily. I'd say he's performing really well in PSG right now as well.
Lot of good points over there. Uh, I'm sure goalkeepers around would be happy with this. So speaking of goalkeepers, we do have another fun fact. I'm definitely sure you all would have heard the story of Tommaso Berni. Tommaso Berni was a player for Inter Milan from 2014 to 2020. Now, over the 6 years, he has played zero games, but yet has somehow received two red cards. Now, in this entire situation, right, his salary, his annual salary of 200,000 euros. So he earned 200,000 euros a year, but he did not play any match. Like, I'm sure he was at the practice sessions, but yes, he never actually played a game. Pretty amazing life, I would say, at that point.
Yeah,
In
at
just
least he
terms of
was
money,
he
I'm
was
sure.
pretty loyal to his club at least. I mean,
Yeah, at least
he
that.
went all the way.
Definitely a club legend, I would say, but in a different way. So that is all for today's podcast, guys. I do hope you definitely love the topics that we have, and I definitely do hope you do take Vikash's suggestions for your fantasy Premier League team. I hope your team does well. Have a great day. That's all for tonight.